Hi and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to teach you how to propagate the string of hearts. The string of hearts is one of the easiest houseplants to propagate in my opinion. They are just beautiful plants. They just grow and grow and grow, and unfortunately one of the drawbacks with that is they will eventually run out of space and they are going to hit the ground. So what I like to do is, at the same time as pruning them and putting them into shape, I also propagate. And in this video today I'm going to show you how to do that. All we really need is two things, which is a glass of water or vase of water and some scissors. When you propagate a lot of houseplants, you do need to take precision cuts to make sure you get the right cutting material. But the string of hearts is a much more dainty houseplant and it's more forgiving. So what I would do personally for myself is just hack away, and you'll get the material and you can work out what cuttings you want to take from that. So from the simple haircut that we gave to our string of hearts, we ended up with lots and lots of cuttings. I've just organised it all. They were a bit tangled, so I've just laid them out so they're easier to see. And I'll just explain how we're going to do it and what we're looking for. So basically, this vine here is enough to create around 3 plants, and I'll explain why. What we're looking for is basically 2 sets of leaves, and we want 2 sets of leaves for each cutting that we create. So if you see what I mean there, so there's number 1, there's number 2. And on this in total, there should be enough for 6. So that's what we're looking at. We should be able to create 3 plants from this. What we're looking at really is just where the 2 leaves are. You can't really see it on the camera, it's too fine, but there's a tiny little node just between those leaves. And in the presence of water, without the leaves being present, they'll activate and you'll get some new roots forming, which is what we want in order to create the new plants. So I'm going to show you now how to do that. Okay, so all we have to do then is we've got the 2 sets here, and we just need to cut it in the middle. It doesn't really matter too much. So we ended up with 1 cutting material, which is 2 sets of leaves. The next stage is basically to expose that node. We need it to be not in the presence of the leaves. So all we have to do is just gently, and it's a little bit fiddly, we don't want to damage the stem, but we just want to remove the leaves. That's it, just cut them off like that. And then what we'll, I mean, the camera's quite poor. I might show a photo just so you can see what that looks like. But the node is in there, without the leaves are gone, and there's just a tiny, tiny bit of the leaf stem still left. But it doesn't matter about that. And the node is now open and exposed, and that's what we want. The reason we move the leaves is because we're going to propagate it in water, and the leaves don't like being underwater, and there's a good chance they're going to rot off. We don't want that to happen, because if it starts to rot, the cutting could be in trouble, and the whole thing could rot. By doing that, we got rid of the leaves that could rot, and now we just have the node exposed. So that's all we need. So I'm going to do that on the rest of these, and I'll show you, and then we'll move on to the next stage. So from doing that, we've ended up with 6 cuttings here, and here's number 7. I just want to show one last thing before I finish off. So once you've exposed, like I said, the node, and there's usually quite a lot of extra material, you don't need this. Like, this doesn't do anything. It's just going to get in the way and just could possibly rot, and it could just affect things. So you can just trim it off, which is what I've done on these already. So I just trim the end. It doesn't have to be too close. It's not an exact science. You can't really, I suppose I say, you can't really get it wrong. Don't be too concerned. And then you end up with just a small amount of space before you get to that node. And then there we are. And then literally it's just a case of popping them in water. It doesn't really matter what you use. I'm just using a vase. It's a little slidey thing. It's a cute little propagation station thing. But you can use whatever. It really doesn't matter. Now what's important then is the node needs to be submerged into the water. That's it. The leaves can be used to hook on as well, so it stops it completely falling in like that. And that's it. That's what you have to do. Just pop them in. Nice and simple. The leaves, like I said, they can hook on, so they stop it going, because it's very delicate. Like the string of hearts, if you have one, you know what I'm talking about. They're not particularly. They're just so gentle and fragile. They can easily be knocked out and knocked away, and you don't want that. So getting them in the water is important, and then using them just to hook onto the side of the vase is really helpful. There we go. It's then just a case of putting it in a warm location which has got a good light. It doesn't need to be full sun. In fact, that can actually hurt them, so try and keep away from too much light. Just good light levels though, and nice warm temperatures. So that's why it's a good idea to usually do this in spring or summer. You get the best results, and they should start to root soon. So I'm going to pause this video now. I'm going to pop it in the window, and I'll come back to you in a couple of weeks and hopefully have something to show. Welcome back. It's been about 3 weeks since I filmed my last video where I took the cuttings and set them off. They have been growing in a reasonably bright location. It was an east-facing window, so they get morning sun, and it has been sunny the last couple of weeks. It's still April, so it's still a little bit not too intense, not too strong. Let's see how we got on. Okay, so Yeah, that's pretty impressive. I think in total there's around 9 cuttings here, and they've all rooted. All of them have got roots on them, except for one. So that's really good odds. That's 90% success rate so far. We have to obviously get them into the soil. We need to get them growing to be to be confirmed at 90%. But so far, so good. They all have roots growing, which are great. It's great to see. It's fantastic. What I find is quite often with small plants, when they're not particularly large, they tend to root really fast. They get going quickly, and this is exactly what's happened here. Now, when I was doing it, I think what may have happened potentially is they were upside down. I may have put them in backwards, upside down. And you can see that some of them are actually growing, not just roots, but actually some new leaves. So they're growing underwater. So that's not necessarily ideal. What I'm going to do is I will twist that around. I'm going to take them all out and I'm going to put them back in, but turn them the actual right way around. But in the main note, you can see roots, which is really what you want to see. And that's only 3 weeks. This has been 3 weeks later. That's really impressive. At the top end, you can also see new growth as well. So they're already putting out new stems which have leaves on them. Very small, it's early days yet, but that's impressive. That's just a little mini update. There's probably more to come. I will do another update. The roots are still probably a little bit too small just yet to actually move them into soil, but I'm going to give them a little bit longer, maybe another 3 weeks, come back, see how we're doing, and maybe at that point I'll transition them into a potting mix. Okay, so it's about 3 weeks later, and it's towards the end of May now, and I had a quick look at them, and the roots are definitely crying out for some soil. So it's time to pot them up into a soil mix. So I'll show you some footage, and this is how we're going to do it basically. This is just John Innes number 3, which has been mixed in with some coconut coir and some perlite. The reason for that is John Innes, it's not sold in every single country, but over here, John Innes number 3 has quite a lot of fertilizer in it. It's good for established plants. It's not the best thing to be using for cuttings. So it needs to be sort of diluted essentially. So I've mixed in, like I say, some coconut coir, which has no fertilizer or nutrients as standard, with some perlite just to keep it open. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you some footage of the roots as well. So you can see, this is kind of telling you it's time. The roots are particularly long, and there's several of them on each of the cuttings. So it's definitely time to move them into a potting mix. Now, it's really straightforward. You might be thinking there's an exact science or there's a specific way of doing it. There just isn't, okay? The most important thing here is the cuttings have roots and they're ready to go. So we just need to get them underground into the potting mix. And all being well, they will adapt to the new growing environment, the new situation with the potting mix, and the roots should sort of become more robust and start to support more of the plant. You can see that it's time. There's not only roots, but there's also new leaves growing as well. There's new stems shooting. It wants to move on, so it's time. Now, all I'm going to do here is pot it up. You don't necessarily need to see me do every single one, but all the cuttings have at least a couple of roots on them. So I'm going to give it a go and put them all into this container. The thing to bear in mind here is ultimately it's a string of hearts, and it will depend how you choose to grow it. I like my string of hearts to grow over a side and down, like cascading like a waterfall. I don't need the cutting, sorry, to be all neatly organized around the edge, hanging over on each edge. I want them all hanging over on one side, just so they come down, if you can imagine that, coming down instead. So what I'm doing is I'm positioning them in a way that allows them to do that once they get going. So it will be a cascade and waterfall. Like I say, you can do it in any way you want, but if you're looking to do something like what I do with mine, you're going to need to hang it over. It's just literally a case of making a hole with a pen or a pencil and then inserting the roots and part of the cutting into the potting mix. Then covering it over, and that's it. It's that simple. As I go on this, you'll probably get the idea of how to do it. I don't think I need to show you every little cutting because it's just repetitive, but you get the idea, okay? That's them now in a potting mix. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to leave them in the same place that I was putting the cuttings, so it's a bright location. And I will come back again, probably for my final update, which will be a fingers crossed kind of moment, that you'll see a lot more growth on the surface. And that means that you basically have a new plant. It's ready to go. So back in 3 weeks, we'll see how we're doing. Hello and welcome back. It has been another 3 or so weeks, and it is my final update. I don't have anything more to show after this, and it becomes redundant. So here we go. Here's an update of where we are at the moment. So as you can see, everything's looking good. The plant has established itself. The cuttings have taken in the potting mix, and they're starting to grow. It's now becoming an independent and established plant. Give it maybe 6 months or a year, and it's going to look amazing. So maybe I'll do an update on my Instagram or something like that, and you can check it out there if you would like to see what's happening. But it's all good. So as I said earlier, let's have a look at the mother plant, and you can see here that there's already little shoots sprouting from where I made the cut before, which was probably about, what, 9 weeks ago, 12 weeks ago? And already it's starting to regrow. Again, we'll be able to take more cuttings soon if we wanted to. So that's it, really. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope it has given you some inspiration. Maybe it's given you a bit of confidence. It really is an easy houseplant to propagate, and it's definitely worth giving it a go, because you can never have enough string of hearts, right? But anyway, thank you so much for watching. And if you've got any ideas for other propagation videos that you want me to do, just drop them in the comments below and let me know how you get on. And I'll see you in the next video.